Today on Monkey Life. Problems for the team when chimp Kathy goes under the knife.
She's carrying a bit of extra fat, shall we say. So if I put her on a level, the weight of the excess fat in the abdomen presses on the diaphragm, stops her breathing efficiently.
Woolly monkey Lena is pregnant, but who's the daddy?
The father could be Oscar, who she's living with at the moment. However, there's also a possibility that it could be Bueno.
And as the team prepare for a new arrival, hopes that Oisin will act as a surrogate mum.
Hopefully Oisin has got maternal instincts, and the only way to find out is to wave a baby under her nose.
Monkey World in Dorset is the largest sanctuary of its kind on the planet. For 25 years, the team have been rescuing and rehabilitating primates from all over the world. The centre was the mastermind of animal campaigner Jim Cronin, who undertook numerous high-profile rescues along with his wife, Alison.
And how much does she want for him?
10,000 US.
One of the most memorable was of chimp Charlie, who was rescued from Turkey, where he'd been trained to do tricks for his own TV programme. Jim persuaded his owners to let him take Charlie back to the park.
I can do this. Yo, bravo. I know this one myself.
Bravo.
After Jim's death in 2007, Alison took over the reins and continues to save maltreated primates.
They're all going to have a chance to live proper lives again. Perfect.
The park is home to more than 240 monkeys and apes from 15 different species. One of the first groups to be established at the park was Paddy's chimpanzees. 6 members of the group have been here from the very beginning. Paddy himself, along with Beth, Cindy, Mickey, Zoe, and Buster. They were all rescued from Spain, where they were being used as photographers' props. But today, all eyes are on another member of the group who's been having dental problems.
Kathy! Oh, good girl.
Kathy has been at the park since 1990, after being rescued from a French biomedical laboratory.
Hello, Kathy. Good girl. Here we go. Kathy's got an overgrowth of her gums, both on the top and the bottom. And the gums, in some cases, are completely covering her teeth. Were you doing open? Open. We're not quite sure what causes it. It's a little bit of a mystery. There's no evidence that she's in pain. I think it's definitely getting to the point where it's uncomfortable for her, because at the bottom, maybe she'll do an open for us, you can see that it's really growing over her teeth. So when Kathy's eating, it only gives her a really small groove for her tongue to go through. So it has got to the point where we're going to have to do something about it.
The team have decided to operate, and they've called in wildlife dentist Peter Cortez.
We're going to have a look, and we're going to reduce the size of the gum because it's interfering with the eating now. The cause, well, we don't know what the cause is. Usually, in humans, it's medication. A medication for epilepsy or contraceptives or pregnancy can cause these isolated areas of very swollen gums. But we'll have to cut them back because she's having difficulty in chewing now.
But before Peter can get down to business, Kathy needs to be anaesthetised. So wildlife vet John Lewis, animal director Jeremy Keeling, and the park's vet Mike Nathan head down to her enclosure. She's been kept inside, away from the other chimps in her group, who can sense something is wrong.
Well, they probably do know something's going on. I mean, one is being locked away on her own. I turn up. You can add 2 and 2 together and come up with something unpleasant, yes.
It's down to the primate care staff to give Kathy the anaesthetic.
They're the ones that are trained her to accept hand injection. And the last thing in the world she wants to see is me, because I've darted her in the past and she'll smell a rat. So I'm just keeping out of the way. If they can't hand inject her, then okay, I'll use a blowpipe. But I'm just, keeping out of the way.
Putting any animal under anaesthetic is risky, not least a 30-year-old chimp.
There's no anaesthetic, be it for chimps or giraffes or yourself. None of them are 100% safe. So if you can avoid anaesthesia, you do. Or conversely, you need a good reason to anaesthetise an animal, because, you know, things happen, and occasionally you have a problem.
Once Kathy is safely asleep, the team need to get her to hospital as quickly as possible. The rest of the group are still agitated. They're a close-knit bunch and very protective of each other. At 77 kilos, Kathy is a heavy chimp, so she's not easy to manoeuvre.
You happy with that?
No, that needs correcting, Jeremy. Push her further in. Right, then we can straighten her head up.
You happy with that?
I'd like something there, actually. Just a roll. That's good. That's good. Yeah.
Peter wants Kathy to lie on her back for the operation, but John is wary because of her size.
Peter, we'll try her on the back. That may not work for us. We're going to have the table sloping down, so this end is up a bit and that end is down a bit.
Slope on the table.
Either way, we want that end down. All right. Whoa, whoa, whoa. You guys are going off to it on the side. Hey, that's it. That's good, that's good, that's good. She's carrying a bit of extra fat, shall we say. So if I put her on a level, or even head down, the weight of the excess fat in the abdomen presses on the diaphragm and stops her breathing efficiently. But also it presses down on the main vein returning blood to the heart. So you end up with lungs that are incompletely filled with air and incompletely supplied with blood. That's why we're sort of aiming her down, so the weight of her guts are not pressing on the bottom of her lung or the vein that returns blood to the heart. If I take the head, other people can take other bits, please. Over her back. That's right. Can we centre her? Yeah. OK.
Once Kathy is in position, Peter can examine her gums.
Just have a look, can I, please?
Yeah. So she's pink.
But it's not good news.
This is not swollen gums. This is ossified fibroma.
What looks like overgrown gum certainly is gum, but underneath that overgrown gum, there's bone, you know, abnormal bone. So it will take a lot longer to get the excess tissue away.
Scalpel, please. We are going to take away the bony growth and have to try and reconstruct the gum afterwards.
Kathy's gum problems are more serious than first thought. The operation isn't going to be straightforward. Over at Owaskar's woolly monkey enclosure, Lena is causing a bit of a stir.
Lena!
Staff are pretty sure she's pregnant, which is great news as woolly monkeys are seriously endangered, both in the wild and captivity. Pregnancy tests are notoriously unreliable for woolly monkeys, so the only way to really tell if Lena is pregnant is to feel her stomach.
She doesn't mind it whatsoever. We have been working on her quite a lot recently, trying to get her used to the sensation of us prodding around in there. So yeah, she doesn't mind it as long as she gets lots of treats in return for it. She really doesn't care. We're feeling for anything that may indicate a baby. So what we tend to find with the woolly monkeys is that very early on in the pregnancies, the stomachs become very, very tight and enormous. And then we tend to think that they're much later on in the pregnancy than they actually are. They keep us hanging on for months and we're saying any day now, and it never usually happens when we think it's going to.
Woolly monkeys are extremely difficult to breed in captivity, but Monkey World has been very successful. It's the only place in the world at the moment where numbers have been increasing. However, staff aren't sure who the father of Lena's baby is.
The father could be one of two different males. First of all, it could be Oscar, who she's living with at the moment. However, there's also a possibility that it could be Bueno, who's the male that she was living with previously. So obviously we're not going to be able to tell that until she gives birth, and then we can work back on the dates and see who the dad is.
Bueno arrived at the park in 2005 and has already fathered 3 children: Julio, Inca And latest addition, 3.5-month-old Enzo. Bueno is well respected in his group and seems to be popular with the females. Oscar, on the other hand, arrived just a few months ago from Basel Zoo in Switzerland. He's important to the woolly monkey breeding programme at the park because he's unrelated to anyone else here and until now hasn't been a dad.
Oscar is wild caught. He was born in the wild in South America. And like the story with him is that his parents and family were killed for bushmeat, which is quite often the case with woolly monkeys. The babies are too small to be used for bushmeat, so instead, once they've killed the mums, they take the babies away and the babies are sold into the pet trade. If Lena is pregnant and it does turn out that Oscar is the dad, it's probably the best news that we could have hoped for. They are so rare and so endangered that every individual is very, very valuable.
At the park's hospital, chimp Kathy's overgrown gums are proving to be a challenge for wildlife dentist Peter Cortez.
This is not simple. What we have to do is expose as much of it as we can. And then we're going to have to take away as much of the bone as practical. That's the gum, but when you look underneath it, you can actually see a considerable amount of bone.
Peter has discovered that the bone which has grown up around Kathy's gums has actually fused with her canines. This is serious. Peter thinks he might have to remove all 4 of them.
All of the canines?
All of the canines.
You think it's canine?
Well, it seems to be associated just around the canine teeth. There's a little bit around there, but it just seems to be that area. And I've seen this before, and it was just the canine area.
The canines?
We removed the canine, and the condition hadn't come back now but I can't guarantee it won't come back.
Jeremy is concerned this would be a big operation and too much for Kathy, so he calls Alison for her opinion.
But we may not do all the canines today. It might be just 2 canines. No point killing her for 4 canines.
In the wild, chimps use their large canine teeth to defend themselves as well as for eating. Alison has come straight over to the hospital. She's not happy about Peter's plans to remove all 4 teeth. She thinks it'll be too much for Kathy to cope with.
We've done this once before.
All 4 canines. I have a problem. She's 30 years old.
Is she?
Yeah.
I'm going to take this one out because it has to go because it's broken. It would fuse to the bone.
Okay, so one's gone
That's
anyway.
got to go.
No,
it's going to go.
Is there any guarantee if you
No
remove
guarantee.
them
So
that
it's
it's
a
not
greater-
going to come back?
There's a greater chance of it not coming back if the canines are gone. A greater chance, but there's no guarantee.
John Lewis, what's your vote?
My vote is for closing that without removing the upper canine. And once this side is healed up, then do the other.
Okay, and then
All right.
we might get an idea if the condition comes back around that top one.
It's pretty bad on the other side as well.
Okay, we're not going to be able to address that all on this go.
I don't think you should extend it to 4 hours. No,
Okay.
not push it.
Okay.
It's dangerous for any animal to be under anaesthetic for too long, and Kathy has already been under for more than 2 hours.
The lower one for you.
So, with 1 canine removed, Peter winds things up.
Just check the throat, John, because there are lots of bits of teeth around.
The team want to get Kathy back to her group and bring her round as soon as possible.
Look, I'll go backwards this time.
I don't mind going backwards.
Paddy and the others are excited to see her back.
Mind the step.
She's put in her bedroom so she'll be more comfortable when she wakes. John continues to monitor her. This is a dangerous time for Kathy. As the anaesthetic wears off, her blood pressure readjusts.
We just close the door, don't bite it.
Generally speaking, they wake up quite quickly. But in her, she's had a fairly heavyweight painkiller, and that slows her recovery down, but gives her far greater pain relief. She's just kind of taking her time, which is fine. That's fine.
Kathy coughs as she wakes because her throat's dry. This is normal when coming round from an anaesthetic. John is optimistic.
She gets a course of antibiotics because there's a risk of infection there. So if it's all settled down in 6 months, we'll then talk about doing the other side.
So Kathy may have to have another operation, but for now, she's just going to feel groggy and sore for a while. Gordon's orangutans are having a barrel of laughs. They've been given a variety of coloured tubs to keep them busy, and they're making the most of it. Young Kai wants a drum of his own, but stepdad Gordon has other ideas. Both Gordon and Tuan's groups are being kept indoors because their outside enclosure is being split in two and having a major overhaul. Until now, the orangs have had to take it in turns to use the outdoor space, but this revamp will mean they'll all have permanent access outside. The work's going to take at least a month, which is a long time for the orangs to be cooped up.
Our primate care staff, they've done an absolutely fabulous job keeping them really occupied, coming up with new ideas to keep them entertained, new ways of feeding them, fun activities. The orangs are so intelligent, so incredibly intelligent, and so critically endangered that I'd really like to be able to build them an environment that might not be the wild, but that at least provides them with comfort, security, and a place that actually feels like home to them. We've sort of added in, I don't know how many more hundreds of telephone poles to create more connecting walkways, lots more platforms at different levels, shelters of all different descriptions and so on. It's going to look very different. It's going to feel very different. Most importantly, I hope that the orangutans are going to love it.
Unlike Gordon and Tuan's groups, the nursery orangs are choosing to stay inside. And newest recruit Oisin is finally beginning to make friends. Albeit slowly. She was brought up as a pet in South Africa and had never come across other orangs until she arrived at the park. At first, she struggled to adapt to life alongside others of her own species, preferring Jeremy's company. Her first meeting with head honcho Ame and her sidekick Jolie didn't go well.
Ame?
Ame, no.
Ame. No, that's not such a good plan. She's bigger than you. There you go. That's good. It's control. There we go.
So they had to be separated. Ame is still being kept apart, but Jolie has been reintroduced to Oisin, and the signs are good.
Oisin has made so much progress, it's unbelievable. When she first arrived here, she'd hardly move unless you went to her. You've got to remember, she spent pretty much 13 years on her own. She doesn't know she's an orangutan, although she's learning to be one. So she needs to learn how to play. She's never done it before. So bringing Jolie in, she's wary of her, but not as wary as she was when she first met Dinda and Linga. So I think she's slowly starting to learn now that she is an orangutan. They're not that evil. And yeah, give her time and hopefully she'll settle in and hopefully start playing with them. Before, she wouldn't come over to the door here to have anything to drink or eat if the others were around her. So the fact that she's tolerating, albeit it's Dinda at the moment, tolerating Dinda being quite close by is progress.
Life is about to change yet again for Oisin. There's going to be a new baby in the nursery, and it's hoped she might act as a surrogate mother. Sylvester is an 11-month-old orangutan currently living at Santillana Zoo in northern Spain. His mum refused to feed him, so Monkey World has been asked to step in. Jeremy is about to board a ferry to Santander to pick him up.
He's coming to Monkey World because we are the official creche for young orangs that are being hand-reared. So he'll be reared actually with our young people. Then he'll think like an orang rather than a human.
Jeremy will have to hand-rear Sylvester at first, but he's hoping his services won't be needed for very long.
So that's where, hopefully, Oisin steps in And we don't know yet because we don't have any experience of Oisin with babies, but hopefully Oisin has got maternal instincts, and the only way to find out is to wave a baby under her nose.
The nursery will be perfect for Sylvester, as Jeremy is keen for him to have contact with lots of orangs as soon as possible.
At the moment, it's just important that Sylvester realises that he is actually an orangutan and not some peculiar-looking human.
It's important for Sylvester to get to know Jeremy before he's transported back to the park.
So if Sylvester knows me in his comfort zone, then hopefully that will make him happier when he's out of his comfort zone. His routine might not suit our routine, and that doesn't make it bad or good, but he'll want to maintain his routine to keep him comfortable, at least for a while, and then we'll slowly introduce our routine, and then he won't be missing anything.
This time on Monkey Life, Jeremy's in Spain to pick up a new baby for the orang nursery.
I like your haircut. Goodness me.
Who gives him the runaround.
It's going to be a very long battle. I concede. I give in.
And after years being locked up, Chimp Kiki ventures into the big outdoors.
For 8 years at least, she's been sat in a tiny, tiny cage.
So agoraphobia could be an issue.
Monkey World in Dorset is buried deep in the English countryside and is the largest sanctuary of its kind on the planet. For 25 years, the team have been rescuing and rehabilitating primates from all over the world.
Hello, missus. Hey, there's a hand poking out. You want to come say hi, Jeremy?
The park is run by Dr. Alison Cronin and provides a home for more than 240 monkeys and apes from 15 different species. It's early morning, and at the orang nursery, 13-year-old Oisin is in her favourite perch. So far, she hasn't been keen to mix with the other orangs. But today, that could all change because there's going to be a new arrival. Sylvester is a baby orangutan living at Santillana Zoo in northern Spain. His mum refused to feed him, so he's been hand-reared. Monkey World is the European creche for orphaned orangs, so they've been asked to look after him. And the team are hoping that Oisin will act as a surrogate mum. Animal director Jeremy Keeling has just arrived in Santander to pick him up.
Hello. Hello. I'm Jeremy.
Maria,
okay. Hello.
Nice to meet you. Have you had a nice trip?
Yeah, it was very good. Very good, very smooth. Okay.
Glad to hear.
Okay, let's go see the orang.
Jeremy has years of experience in hand-rearing orangs, but he's only got 48 hours to bond with Sylvester before taking him back to the park.
Hello, Jeremy.
Hello.
Nice to meet you.
Hello. Are you right? What are you doing? I like your haircut. Goodness me. You're a very handsome brute. He says, yes, I know. You know, don't you? You're a good boy.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Maribel has been Sylvester's main carer, so he's grown very attached to her.
Silvestre, que Jeremy.
She says, I've got my mum, I don't care about you, look.
No vas con Jeremy, ¿por qué? Vete con Jeremy.
Sylvester has been looked after by staff at the zoo since he was born 11 months ago. They've given him his very own playroom next door to his siblings, and Jeremy has decided this is the best place to get to know him.
Is this an aerial attack? Yes, it is. I thought it was. Obviously, we didn't know what we were going to find with Sylvester, and they've clearly done a really good job rearing him. He's obviously been brought up not focusing on one person. The thing that always goes wrong with rearing orangs, and I've done it myself with Amy, is if they only have the one person looking after them, then they just totally depend on that, and it's a nightmare, and it doesn't do anybody any good. Whereas if they'll, you know, be happy to go to anybody, it's really nice for him, and a lot makes our life a lot easier. Don't you bite me, you bad boy.
Back in Dorset, it's a big day for chimp Kiki too. She's going outside at the park for the very first time. Kiki was recently rescued from the Lebanon. For years, she'd been kept as a pet, locked up in a small cage at the side of a road. She'd led a very lonely life, so her introduction to Hananya's gang has been a bit of a culture shock. Her first encounter with the leader himself didn't go quite as expected. Far from being shy and retiring, Kiki was, if anything, overconfident, and Hananya felt the need to show her who was boss.
Kiki's progress in terms of her rehabilitation is unparalleled. We've never had a chimp come in that's 8 or 9 years old, has never been with other chimpanzees, and has immediately settled into chimpanzee culture and lifestyle from the very first day. All of her introductions to the individuals in Hananya's group have gone brilliantly. So, you know, it's making us all a little bit tense because everything's going so well. You're waiting for a little dip in the roller coaster ride, but it just hasn't happened. So, you know, we're taking Kiki's lead. If she's ready to push on ahead, then so are we. And it's a lovely, fine day today. So today's going to be the first day that Kiki goes outside in her new huge enclosure. And, you know, there are going to be a few issues for her.
Kiki relaxes inside, oblivious to what's about to happen.
We're just doing all the final checks of the enclosure. We're going to put a little bit of breakfast outside for her, check all her electric voltages and everything, just make sure there's nothing that's going to be either put her off or that's going to be dangerous.
The little chimp isn't used to electric fences, and the staff are concerned she may get too close. So today, they're turning the voltage down slightly. A scattering of breakfast is usually all it takes to entice the chimps out. With the slide to the bedroom open, Honey and Valerie lead the way. Tuti and Zeynep follow. Along with Patricia, these 4 chimps have been specially chosen because they've been particularly friendly to Kiki since she arrived. But so far, Kiki isn't tempted, preferring the security of the adjacent playroom.
For 8 years at least, she's been sat in a tiny, tiny cage with not a lot of freedom.
So agoraphobia could be an issue.
Staff open the door to the playroom as well to try and encourage Kiki outside. But she's still reluctant. In the end, Patricia realizes she's missing and comes to her rescue, leading the way. This is a big step for Kiki. The 15-meter climbing frame must be daunting for her, as she isn't used to scaling such heights. Valerie gives her some reassurance, while Honey watches from on high. Kiki boldly follows her up, then loses her nerve. With no real body tone, she could easily have fallen. She chooses safer territory below.
This is the first time in Kiki's life that she's been able to run and run as much as she wants. The legs are going. It's like Forrest Gump. Everywhere she's going, she's running. Not only has she had to get used to the great outdoors and having her freedom, but when you get up on these climbing frames, you get quite an amazing view out over Dorset. And of course, she's hearing the Siamangs calling. We had the golden cheek gibbons calling. And so she's really just taking in, you know, where she is, what's around her in the environment. You can see her, everything, you know, she's sort of surveying everything, looking up at the sky, checking out the climbing frames. The other ladies are very good at tight hose walking, so you can see them, they can, without any hands, actually walk along the fire hoses.
Kiki decides to give it a go, but doesn't quite pull it off.
Still have a little bit of skills to master. Finding her balance is taking a little bit of time. Now, she's gone out with 5 familiar ladies today and really has made a difference because they're all really calm. There hasn't been sort of really any shouting, displaying, hoo-ha at all. What's interesting to see is that certain individuals are really sticking with her, and I think actually it's a good sign that she's made some really very good friends that will hopefully continue on through her lifetime here.
In Spain, Jeremy is slowly winning Sylvester over.
There's a spot right between an orangutan's shoulder blades. If you touch it, they just fall apart. They can't cope. They go all like this.
Sylvester is a Sumatran orangutan. All the other orangs at Monkey World are Bornean. Sumatrans are more ginger than auburn in colour, and their hair is slightly longer. They also tend to have longer faces. Orangutans are only native to the islands of Borneo and Sumatra in Asia, and although they're all endangered, Sumatrans are critically endangered. It's thought there are only around 7,500 of them left in the wild.
Sumatran orangs are markedly more sociable with other orangs than what Borneans are. So that's probably why he's taken to somebody he doesn't know so easily. I don't think you'd have got that nearly so much with a Bornean. And also, I'm hoping it'll help him integrate with our orangs.
Next door, Sylvester's sisters Julieta and Victoria are keen to get a piece of the action. He regularly spends time with them. They also had to be hand-reared, but they've grown into confident, mischievous orangs and are always happy to lead their little brother astray.
You don't that rubbish, do you? No, not that. It's great because most days he comes in here and says hello to the sisters, and he's been brought up not to be a pet, not to be focused on one person, to be totally aware of the orangs around him and going in with them every day. They've done so well because it's just going to make our life and Sylvester's life so much easier. It's really nice to know that he's been getting this sort of contact on a daily basis.
It's been a while since Jeremy has hand-reared an orang, but his skills are about to be put to the test.
Just trying to see whether he'll take a bottle from me. There you go. Is that all right? When you're hungry enough, it's not so bad, is it? Don't choke. Don't choke, you idiot. Have you done? Yeah, done choking. It's important that he learns that, you know, that me, somebody else is going to feed him other than the people that he's used to. And particularly orangs get very fixated on one person feeding them. And an orang is so mother-dependent, even more than a chimp or a gorilla, because they only see their mothers. I mean, being a more solitary animal, and there is very little interaction between anybody else other than your mother, and that's okay until there comes a time when that person isn't there anymore. Don't bite your teeth.
With Sylvester fed, Jeremy turns his attention to the rest of the nighttime routine.
Right, watch this. Good boy. Quickly. Go off with one and on with the other. Quick as that. I always say if you can get a nappy on an orangutan, you can do pretty well anything. That's it. All done. Yeah. Come on. Come on, we're going back. We're going to bed now.
In Spain, Jeremy and Sylvester are about to set off on the long journey back to the park.
You don't know what's coming, do you? I've got a surprise for you. I'm sure he'll be fine. He's all very durable at this age. Anything's okay. Isn't it? Hey, you always...
Hasta luego, Teresa.
Two of Sylvester's carers are coming along to make sure the little orang settles into his new home.
I think we're just having a bit of a moment here, because obviously it's a bit emotional for everybody. And then be off. The journey probably be a lot easier for him than everybody else. I mean, he's just a little baby. He's just going to hang on to his mum, and there's no confinement, there's no boxes, there's no crates. He'll be just as a baby. He's fine, couldn't care less. Just hanging out. Obviously of interest, because he's not done it before, but you're not bothered, are you? Wait, Sylvester? No.
His departure has attracted a lot of attention from the press. He's even given his own ticket. Special permission has been granted for Sylvester to travel in one of the cabins on the ferry because he's so young. Normally, primates are transported in crates in the cargo area. The journey from Santander to Portsmouth will take 20 hours. That's a long time to keep a baby orang amused, and Sylvester soon has the upper hand.
Right, we're going to see if we can use the climbing frame that we've just constructed for you to enable us to put an app in. Yeah, just stay there. Look, this is good. We could market this. We've got an escape monkey. Where's that dart gun?
It seems Jeremy's success with the nappy last night was a bit of a fluke.
It's going to be a very long battle. I concede. I give in. No. There. Just leave that on now, OK? That is a very bad idea. That is a terrible idea.
But Sylvester won't need nappies for much longer.
He's at that age now that really putting the nappy on is a gesture. Well, he's got probably 12 hours left of wearing nappies, or less than that, and then nappies will be no more.
Meanwhile, in Dorset, an overnight snowfall has turned Monkey World into a winter wonderland. Paddy and Gamba are quite happy to brave the cold. As is Buster, who can't resist having a taste of the white stuff. At Hanania's enclosure, keepers are making the most of the snow to keep the chimps entertained. Jess is first to welcome the frozen visitor, while low-ranking Arthur quickly realises there are treats to be had. Leader Hanania is hoping to find some hidden treasure, but has to settle for frozen veg. Some of the residents are having to stay indoors today, but that doesn't mean they have to miss out on the fun. Amy's capuchins are being given some tasty mealworm snowballs. All these monkeys were rescued from a lab in Chile, where they'd been used for experiments, so this is the first time they've ever come across snow. Capuchins are extremely dexterous and very intelligent. Mary is so smart she melts her snowball on the radiator to get at the treats. At the Orang nursery, staff are busy making final preparations for the Spanish contingent.
They're coming by ferry into Portsmouth, so I've got, my car kitted out and togged up with blankets and hot water bottles and things if we got stuck on the side of the road. But, I don't know what the Spanish will be expecting, but the south coast of England is going to be a bit chilly and white today. The Orang nursery is really toasty and warm. I've just been in there and seen Sylvester's bedrooms, and primate care staff have done a really lovely job kitting them out with hoses, and I think he's going to slot in really well into our nursery group. Everybody in there's, I think, probably a little bit excited knowing that something's up. The 3 youngsters and Oisin are all ready to go, and it's going to be a very exciting day. We just have to get little Sylvester down here from the ferry port across to Monkey World, and the roads are going to be a little bit slippery today.
Back on the ferry, Sylvester is still monkeying around. His Spanish carers, Maribel and Andrea, have got the dubious task of getting him to take a nap. But he has other ideas and has managed to ditch his nappy again. It takes them a while to settle him. But finally, he succumbs. When the ferry arrives at Portsmouth, Alison can't wait to meet her new charge.
Hey, little man. Oh, he's just beautiful, isn't he? I mean, he's just spectacular beautiful. And you know what's really nice about this is that even for a hand-reared little boy, they've done such a wonderful job at Santillana bringing him up so that he's like easygoing and relaxed. That means that he's a very confident little man, which is fantastic because all of the ladies in the nursery are going to love him to bits, and he's not going to be shy or frightened.
The park's quarantine van has to drive onto the ferry to pick up Sylvester.
We're just getting everybody loaded up into the quarantine van. As soon as Sylvester leaves this ferry, he enters British quarantine laws. A little bit chilly out here, so we'll get him home.
There are very strict rules regarding rabies in the UK. Any wild animal entering the country has to go into quarantine for 6 months to make sure they are free of the disease. Once Sylvester has joined the nursery, all the orangs in that group will effectively be in quarantine. It's 10 o'clock when they arrive, and most of the orangs have gone to sleep, but Jolie is still awake and keen to meet the new arrival.
Oh, Jolie, what do you think?
Hello, how are you?
Finally made it back to the park, which is great. So it's been a long journey for everybody along with Sylvester, and we'll just get him settled down in the bedroom. Jeremy's going to actually stay the night with him in the house, just in case he wakes up in the middle of the night and isn't sure where he is.
Maribel gives Sylvester his last feed of the day. And despite a long night ahead, Jeremy is in good spirits.
Freedom from nappies. No more nappies.
Today on Monkey Life, Jeremy and the team have got their hands full with the annual flu vaccines.
Me shoulder, me shoulder, me shoulder. Go. Not up your nose.
Concern for woolly monkey Kuna.
I can see her condition deteriorating. We have to intervene now, for better or worse.
And Linga and Dinda join forces against new arrival Sylvester.
I'm with you, boy. Right behind you.
Monkey World in Dorset is the largest sanctuary of its kind on the planet. Dr. Alison Cronin and her team rescue and rehabilitate abused and unwanted primates from all over the world.
This is always, for me, the most stressful time. I want to see Kiki fit and healthy.
The park is home to more than 240 monkeys and apes from 16 different species. Today, it's time for the annual flu jabs. Chimpanzees and orangutans are our closest living relatives, sharing around 98% of our DNA, so they're prone to the flu virus just like humans.
Well, our primate care staff are working in close proximity with our apes, so obviously there's a risk of us passing things on to them, and also they live in very big social groups, so if one chimp is to get sick, there's a risk that they could pass it right the way through the house. We're taking every measure that we can to make sure that our apes get through the winter season being healthy.
With so many apes at the park, it's going to take a team effort to give them all their jabs. Animal Director Jeremy Keeling is making an early start at the chimp nursery. He's a familiar face here as he gives them breakfast every morning, so Rodders, Ash and foster mum Sally, along with Brian and Lulu, are always happy to see him. But Lulu senses something's up.
Shoulder. Me shoulder.
Lulu doesn't seem to like the look of the needle, but young Ash is intrigued.
Not up your nose.
Rodders is rather curious too.
No, you've got to give me all of your shoulder. Sally's a good girl. You want yours, do you? Want yours there?
In the end, it takes foster mum Sally to show them how it's done.
Good girl, Sal. Good girl, Sally. You're a soldier, aren't you?
Most of the primates at the park are regularly given clicker training or operant conditioning to prepare for days like this.
Cross our hand.
Staff teach them to present certain parts of their body in return for treats. When they hear the click, they know they've got it right and can look forward to a tasty snack. It's very important because it means the primates can be examined easily if they have a medical problem and even have their temperature taken.
36.3, so that's the correct sort of reading we're looking for an orangutan.
The chimps in the nursery are still causing problems for Jeremy.
Go away, Sally, I could have got that then. Go away, you've had yours.
Primate care staff are at Gordon's house. The orangs there are keen to get their hands on the prizes.
I've got a few treats in exchange for their vaccines. I've got, obviously, bananas, which they love, and I've also got some yoghurt-coated peanuts and raisins, which obviously is something they don't normally get, so it's a bit of a special treat as it's much harder to give a vaccination than it is just to ask for normal behaviours during a training session. Good boy.
Young Kai willingly
Good
accepts
lad.
the injection, as does stepdad Gordon.
Good boy.
2 down, a few more to go.
I think they see the flu jabs as an extension of the other operant conditioning that we do. So we've incorporated it into their weekly routines so that it's not something really scary and unusual. So just as they would present their stomach or their chest, it's just an extension of that. And I think it's about trust, really, that they know that there's going to be a small prick and that it might be slightly uncomfortable, but then a really nice reward comes their way. So I think that's the important thing. It's about the animals being able to predict what's happening to them.
Orangs are far more sedate creatures than chimps and don't seem to be bothered by the needles. At the orang nursery, they're ready and waiting.
Good girl, Dinda.
Not a flinch from Dinda.
Some raisins.
And Jolie is keen to have hers too.
Wait. Good girl.
Now it's Oisin's turn.
He's not getting in your mouth, girl. Shoulder.
Although she hasn't been at the park very long, she's responded well to clicker training.
Didn't hurt.
But she doesn't like the look of this. Oisin will normally do anything for treats, and she's definitely tempted. With all the others already tucking into their rewards, Oisin finally gives in.
Good girl. Good girl.
She was a little bit reluctant at the beginning, but she got there in the end. Well done, everyone.
It's only the apes who are being vaccinated. The other species at the park, such as the squirrel monkeys, marmosets, and lemurs, have been let off the hook today because although they do catch colds, they don't seem to suffer with them in the same way the apes do. Over at the Stumpy house, the ugly monkeys are in for a bit of a treat. As with all the primates at the park, staff are constantly looking for ways to stimulate them and encourage natural behaviour.
After we've cleaned in here, we've decided that we're going to do some deep littering with the hay that we've got. Basically, they would naturally spend most of their day foraging around for things. We decided we're going to bury some nice tasty treats for them, things that they really enjoy eating. So we're going to put a few different insects in there, like mealworms and locusts. Also things like sunflower seeds, things that are fairly small so that they really do have to forage through it to actually find what they're looking for.
Sylvie, Noreen and Miriam are the first to test out their foraging skills. And Miriam quickly comes across a mealworm or two. Group leader Sam is also quick off the mark, as is leading lady Kelly, who's salivating at the thought. As high rankers in the group, they always get priority. Low rankers such as Jonathan have to wait on the sidelines. In the wild, stump-tailed macaques spend a lot of their day foraging in the undergrowth, so spotting these locusts, even though they are well camouflaged, should come naturally. But maybe not to Miriam. This one is right under her nose. She just can't see it. Low-ranking Charlie, on the other hand, has managed to grab one that's escaped to the back bedroom, but isn't overly impressed. Although part of their natural diet, these stumpies are not given juicy locusts too often because of their weight issues. The girls were all rehomed from a laboratory in Scotland, where they'd been used for medical research. When they arrived at the park, they were all overweight because they hadn't had enough exercise. Miriam is still oblivious to the tasty snack right next to her. Ah, finally. Once she's had her fill, she retires to the back bedroom, allowing the others to take her place. Cola sees her opportunity and nips in to nab the leftovers. Closely followed by Maureen and Charlie. Phil, on the other hand, who's the lowest ranking of all, is happy just to be on his own for a while. The woolly monkeys have also been let off flu jabs today. But one of them is giving cause for concern.
Kuna is coming up to the hospital today because she's just not looking right. I mean, each time I go by the house, I just see her getting more and more frail. She looks she's lost a lot of weight and she just doesn't look fit and healthy.
Kuna's weight loss is a mystery, but Alison thinks she may know the cause.
Kuna does have a checkered history in terms of her medical care. She is one of them that likes to eat little stones that she finds out in the enclosure. And actually, in Kuna's file at the office, when you open it up, I've got a little bag stapled in of the stones we've removed from her belly before. We're going to x-ray her, first of all, see if she's got another belly full of stones, which we would then remove, so it's quite a serious operation. But there's no point in leaving Kuna because I can see her condition deteriorating. We have to intervene now, for better or worse.
As soon as Kuna arrives at the hospital, the team have to work quickly. Wildlife vet John Lewis doesn't want her under anaesthetic any longer than she has to be. This is always an anxious time for the primate care staff. Kuna is intubated so John can monitor her breathing throughout. The park's vet, Mike Nathan, feels Kuna's belly for any obvious signs of stones.
Chest looks absolutely fine.
Operating on Kuna is a serious step, so an X-ray will help determine if this is absolutely necessary.
All right, let's see what that's like.
The X-ray only reveals one small stone.
Do you think that would be causing her enough problem?
Is it sharp-edged?
Should we do an AP and just see roughly where it is?
Despite the pressure of time, both John and Mike want another X-ray.
OK.
Well, it is sharpish, but
that's not causing all these chronic problems.
That's not causing the weight loss, I don't think.
Kuna's condition remains a mystery.
Now it's just a case of trying to work out what we really want to do with her. So I think for today, we're going to take a blood sample to see what her biochemistry is like, and then put her on a birth control implant for now. And not because we wouldn't like her to be fit and healthy to breed, but she is in no condition to have a baby at this point, and I think really that would take her out.
A major operation is underway at the park to give all the apes their annual flu vaccinations. And with almost 100 chimps, orangs and gibbons resident here, it's no mean feat. The orangs have been pretty compliant, but the chimps are proving more of a challenge. The 15 bachelor boys are ready and waiting, although leader Butch doesn't want to commit himself until he's seen what the others are in for. Brave Sammy takes it like a man. High-ranking Jester, on the other hand, who's one of Butch's henchmen, proves to be a bit of a wimp.
That's why it's so interesting and why everybody loves working with them so much, is because they're such individuals, and that comes through on the flu jabs as well. And just like us, there are some individuals that seem to have a high pain threshold. There's other individuals that are quite sensitive. Some prefer to do it on their own in a bedroom. It's really about knowing the animals, and a testament to all the staff here, the primate care staff that work with our apes, that build up a relationship with them and learn where their boundaries are and where their limits are. Good girl, Peggy, perfect. Good girl.
At the park's hospital, the team are trying to work out why woolly monkey Kuna has been losing weight. They had thought she'd been eating stones, but X-rays have only shown up a relatively small one in her stomach. But while the team have been working on her, Kuna has stopped breathing, and wildlife vet John Lewis has had to put her on a ventilator.
Why don't you breathe?
Animals have different reactions to anesthetics, and for this one, for whatever reason, Kuna isn't breathing on her own. Her oxygen levels in her bloods are not bad, and John's monitoring that, but no, we're breathing for her right now. So it's a stressful situation for me. It's great having John here because he's totally used to doing this balancing act, and it's his specialty. So she's in good hands, but it's just one of those things.
With Kuna's weight loss still a mystery, they're taking bloods to carry out further tests. John is reluctant to leave Kuna's side, so ramps up the pressure on the rest of the team.
If people can pass me things, I'll deal with it. Alison, could you give me a 5mm syringe and a short blue needle? It's the 5/8 of an inch. The ventilator, the worse she gets.
It does feel like we're leaking when we're doing it. That's what I was saying.
Except the inspired, expect the inspired CO2 is 0. That's not leaking.
All right, okay.
That seriously isn't leaking.
John needs to wake Kuna up and get her back on her feet as soon as he can.
All right.
Why finish?
Yeah. Just like it to be.
Have you got the box ready? I'll wake her up.
Weigh her if you're happy.
Yeah, no, I'd like to weigh her and get a proper weight.
John gives Kuna a drug to reverse the effects of the anaesthetic.
Okay, disconnecting out. Where's the back?
He's hoping Kuna will start breathing on her own now.
Yeah, that seems to work. She's not far off breathing herself anyway. I think I would weigh her if I were you.
You ready?
Mm-hmm. Kuna still hasn't taken a breath.
Put her nice and straight. She's waking up.
Oh, boxes, please.
You let go of the tail quickly.
Relief all round.
I thought we were going to put a thermometer in. Hello.
Does she
You're
need to
awake
take
now?
that out?
Yes, I think that's probably not a good idea, having.
Yeah.
Got a tail.
We can weigh the box.
Yeah.
We can weigh the box with the blankets when we come back.
I've no idea if this is going to work, but I'm
Freaking in a minute.
There you go.
Tail and foot. Mind the feet.
Yeah, no, she's got hold of my hand at the moment. He's a good puppet. It's all right.
Well, from no breathing to lots of breathing. That's just classic.
The primate care staff will have to keep a close eye on Kuna over the next few months.
She is a bit of a puzzle. There's nothing obvious about her teeth. There's nothing obvious about the rest of her. which tells us, that's why she's thin. If she loses any more weight, then that would be extremely worrying. The next change should be weight gain. I would hope by shutting her reproductive cycles down, that might actually steady her down and help her gain weight. Time will tell, I think.
It's baby Sylvester's first full day in the nursery. The little orang has been rehomed from a zoo in Spain because his mother refused to feed him. Monkey World is the European creche for orphaned orangs, so was asked to look after him. It's time for Sylvester to start meeting the other orangs, but as with all new arrivals at the park, he has to be introduced to the group gradually. Jeremy thinks Oisin and Jolie might be a bit much for Sylvester to start with.
I reckon that Dinda and Linga will be the best first new companions.
Linga and Dinda are best buddies. Like Sylvester, they too had to be separated from their mums because they wouldn't feed them. Dinda was born at the park and Linga came from a zoo in France. Staff have decided the introduction should happen in the safety of the bedrooms, as it's a more controllable area than the playroom. And Jeremy is going in to act as referee. Oisin looks on without much interest. Linga and Dinda wait in trepidation. Sylvester is already proving popular with the primate care staff.
Oh, he's gorgeous. Very cute. And he's quite confident as well.
He went backwards and coming forwards.
Yeah.
Put it that way.
But it's the mischievous duo Linga and Dinda he's going to have to win over.
Well, they seem very interested, and they have been since he arrived last night. If I was them, I'd come straight over and give him a cuddle, so we're hopeful.
Linda, Linga.
Come on.
Linga approaches first.
Hello. I thought Dinda would be first out of the way.
Just watch him, Jeremy.
She decides he's better kept at arm's length.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you. I'm right behind you, honest.
It's Sylvester who offers the hand of friendship. Despite being outnumbered, he bravely follows the girls into their bedroom, egged on by Jeremy.
I'm with you, boy. Right behind you.
But they're sticking together. On home turf, Linga and Dinda are not very welcoming.
Push him off. Oi, oi, stop it.
Sylvester is oblivious to the hostility, but Linga has another shot at him.
No.
Realising she won't get anywhere with Jeremy stuck to Sylvester's side, Linga gives up and decides to attack the baby orang's bedroom instead. But Sylvester is now curious and follows her with his bodyguard in tow. Jeremy's very pleased with the way Sylvester is coping.
He's behaving much better than those two, actually, particularly Linga. The time he spent with his sisters is standing him in good stead because it's, you know, he knows what an orang is. He's now got to learn new characters.
So, despite Linga and Dinda's best efforts to unnerve him, Sylvester has stood his ground. But his next encounter may be more of a challenge. It's Oisin.
Come on then, guys.
Over at Paddy's enclosure, the chimps are on their way inside. They're the last group of the day to be given flu jabs and are keen to get their treats. Paddy's son Bart can't wait for his big moment and watches patiently as first Clin, then Kathy show him how it's done.
Good girl.
At the grand old age of 4, Bart is finally old enough to be given the full dose. Always eager to please, he bravely offers up his arm. But he's not quite brave enough. Kate wants Bart to turn to the side so he can't see the needle, but he's getting very confused and just offers everything. As the rest of the group enjoy their treats, Bart finally manages to have half of his dose. Staff will keep trying with the other half. This time on Monkey Life. Jeremy's in Slovenia to rescue 2 pet monkeys.
Have you packed your stuff? Got your favourite comics and everything?
But he has his work cut out when one gives him the slip.
He's seen a net before, that's for sure.
And a testing time for chimp Kiki when she meets top dog Cherry.
This is a steep learning curve for Kiki, and she's obviously picked up that Cherry's somebody significant.
Monkey World in Dorset is buried deep in the English countryside and is the largest sanctuary of its kind on the planet. For 25 years, the team have been rescuing and rehabilitating abandoned and unwanted primates from all over the world.
We've really done everything we can to make her journey as smooth as possible.
The park is run by Dr. Alison Cronin and is home to more than 240 monkeys and apes. There are 84 capuchins at Monkey World. Most were rescued 4 years ago from a lab in Chile, where they'd been used in reproductive testing. Life has changed beyond recognition for these highly intelligent monkeys. Today, they have the freedom to go into the trees whenever they like. And they're about to be joined by another. Tao is 6 years old and lives in Slovenia. He's been kept as a pet for the past 5 years. But recently, he's been losing weight and developed behavioural issues, so his owners have asked the park to rehome him. The centre has also been asked to rehome a female Patas monkey living in Slovenia. At 18, Mitza is an old lady. She's been kept as a pet since she was a youngster, but has become aggressive. Mitza will be the first ever Patas at Monkey World. Animal director Jeremy Keeling is on his way to pick up the 2 monkeys. His journey from Dorset to his first destination south of Slovenia's capital, Ljubljana, will take him 18 hours.
Obviously, it's a long way, all the way across France and then Germany and now sort of halfway through Austria. Probably about 1,000 miles to the Slovenian border from Cherbourg, and then maybe another 100 miles in Slovenia.
First stop is to pick up Mitza. Mitza's owner, Romana, has looked after the monkey on her own since her husband died 3 years ago.
Now, here's Mitza.
It is very beautiful.
Romana keeps Mitza in this cage because the monkey has become aggressive towards her.
She's very beautiful.
Patas monkeys are the fastest primates on Earth. They come from Africa, where they live in large social groups which are dominated by females. In the wild, it's normal for Patas monkeys to leap and bounce in the tall grasses of the savannah. But Mitza's jumping has become a repetitive behaviour that's developed because she's been cooped up in a cage.
They said this is a psychological problem.
Yes, yeah.
Otherwise, she's healthy.
They're very beautiful monkeys, but they're not... It's very difficult to make a pet out of any monkey, but particularly
yes, but
these.
with my husband, it was wonderful.
Yeah, she's the one.
The only one.
Yeah.
She was her mother, her father, everything.
Romana's husband bought Mitza when she was just 2 years old. He did have a very good relationship with her, but since his death 3 years ago, Mitza's personality has changed, and Jeremy's going to have his work cut out getting her into the travel crate.
Getting her to walk into the box isn't realistic. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to marry this box up to the door of that box and invite her to walk in straight out of one box into another and then close the door behind her. If that doesn't work, then I may have to just put the gloves on and grab her or even net her. But I'm ready for both eventualities. And obviously we'll be inside, because if we do get it wrong and she pushes past, then, you know, we've lost her out here. So we've got to be in a secure environment, which is common sense. That's good. This door needs to face here. There we go. If this door won't lift off, we're going to have to push the whole thing back past this box.
It's taking a while to get the crate into position, and Mitza is becoming agitated.
Right, can you hold that?
Yeah.
Got it?
Mitza is wary of the crate, so Romana tries to tempt her in with snacks. But she's having none of it. Patas monkeys are naturally stressed animals because they have a lot of predators. Jeremy knows this extra stress is not good for Mitza.
Do you think she's not going to go in now? OK. OK, you know her best. OK, have got the net and the gloves, please.
He orders everyone out of the room.
Can you get the box out?
Alone, he's able to calm Mitza enough to grab her and put her in the crate.
Let's just pop her down here in the shade.
It's a sad time for Romana, but she knows it's for the best.
OK, we're going to make a move and take her back to Monkey World. Thank you. We will be in touch, OK?
Now Jeremy has a 2.5-hour drive to pick up the capuchin monkey, Tao. At the park in Dorset, new girl Kiki is about to face her toughest challenge yet. Since she was rescued from the Lebanon nearly 2 months ago, she's gradually been introduced to Hanania's gang. On the whole, it's gone well. But today, she's going to be introduced to top female Cherry. Even Hanania doesn't mess with Cherry.
Out of the 18 members, we've saved Cherry for the last, because in the past, with new arrivals, she has had a bit of a stroppy attitude and really tried to assert her authority, so much so that she makes it unbearable for the new arrival. I'm hoping that at this point in Cherry's life, she might let her fur down and say, yeah, okay, come join the group, and things might go swimmingly. That's best case scenario. Worst case scenario, Cherry's her same old, same old. She's gonna come in, thump, stomp around, chase Kiki around, and then we'll have to consider whether we call it a day, get her time out for a little while and try her again tomorrow until she finally relaxes and accepts that Kiki's not going anywhere.
In the playroom, all is calm until Honey hears something next door. The girls soon realise it's top dog Cherry and gather to greet her. Kiki sits at the back. She has no idea who she's about to meet. She stays on the sidelines as the rest of the group take it in turns to show their respect for Cherry. The primate care staff are ready to intervene in case there's a problem. Kiki's first reaction is to head for the door. Valerie goes over to reassure her. With renewed confidence, Kiki approaches Cherry, who is keen to check out the newcomer. Cherry's protective of her position within the group and wants to make sure Kiki isn't a threat.
Cherry is the dominant female in Hanania's group, so I would describe her as quite political, but she's very fair as well, and I think she plays a really key role in this group because she keeps the group together.
Cherry starts teasing Kiki, slapping her on the head.
She does have to kind of go through a bit of initiation process with the new female and let them know that she's boss and that she is an animal to be respected, really.
But now, Cherry seems to have had a change of heart and is trying to be friends.
Cherry will always pick her moment, so you have to be on guard, and we have seen her lull animals into a false sense of security so that she can give a little nick or a bite or a slap just to teach them who's boss.
Sure enough, Cherry nips Kiki on the finger. And Kiki retaliates. Honey watches from on high. But when Cherry lunges at Kiki, Honey decides it's more political to stick with the boss.
Honey today has decided to side with Cherry, who can blame her, really. Cherry's the dominant female, and it'd be much easier to get Kiki back on side. So yeah, Honey's been a bit of a turncoat today, but we've seen some of the other females looking out for Kiki and making sure she's okay. So I still think the balance is good.
Kiki seems to have sustained another injury.
During the introduction, Cherry has managed to give her a nick on her foot. We've had a bit of a look, it doesn't look too bad. And usually, you know, Cherry doesn't inflict really bad injuries, just a nick and a bite. So we'll obviously keep an eye on that, but at the moment it looks pretty minor.
Kiki tries to take time out, but Cherry hasn't finished with her yet.
The sooner that Cherry can make her point and let Kiki know that she's dominant, Cherry will be happy with that and she'll move on. Kiki is definitely more wary. She's obviously picking up on Cherry's body language, she's picking up on the other animals, and obviously this is a steep learning curve for Kiki. In those very early introductions, she seemed oblivious to kind of rank and circumstance, but now she is starting to learn, you know, who to be respectful to, and she's obviously picked up that Cherry's somebody significant. I think on balance it's gone really well, it's gone as we've expected, and it's another important milestone for Kiki and her introduction into this group.
Jeremy has almost arrived at his second destination in Slovenia, 50 kilometers north of the capital, to collect a capuchin monkey called Tao. Tao's owner, Toya, is waiting for him.
Just down here somewhere.
The car has become hot after the long drive, and Jeremy needs to get Mitza out and into the shade first.
Okay, here's a towel.
Hello, my boy. Oh, Tao. Here we go. Do you want one? Of course. Hey. Don't drop it. Don't drop it. Do you ever pick him up to...
No,
because obviously
he's very scared.
Yeah.
I tried, but he shows teeth and he's very afraid. Here is not for him place.
No, he needs
yes,
monkeys.
He needs.
We have some friends for you.
Yes.
He'll like that.
You will have a good time, Tao.
Yeah.
When he was younger, Tao suffered from rickets, caused by a lack of sunlight, which has left him with a deformed spine. A lack of exercise hasn't helped. Jeremy is keeping his distance.
The important thing is that he isn't my friend. The important thing is that he's friends with the guys back home. As try as I might, I'm never going to be a capuchin monkey or a chimp or an orang, and they're never going to be human. There's a line, you know, they're not pets. They are wild animals, and they need to be with others of their species.
In Slovenia, Jeremy is on a rescue mission to collect 2 monkeys in need of a new home. He's picked up Patas monkey Mitza and has now met capuchin monkey Tao. With an 18-hour drive ahead of him, Jeremy's keen to get on the road. But first, he needs to persuade Tao to get into his travel crate.
Now grab him, put him in, and if you can operate that door, and then job's a good one. Have you packed your stuff? You got your favourite comics and everything? Oh, that's good, that's good. His Tao's here. Come on. Hopefully he'll climb out of there, off of that branch, and I'll grab him. See, he's hanging on. There's it, you go down. That's good.
Capuchins are extremely clever and very agile, so Jeremy's prepared for Tao to put up a fight.
Catch it, yeah, give me the net.
Time for plan B. But Tao manages to dodge him and make his escape.
You slide that into the doorway and use that to block the doorway. You've been in the net before, haven't you, Poppet? Yes, you have. Now you're in the net again. There you go.
Finally backed into a corner, Jeremy gently gathers him up.
Again. We're in. He's seen a net before, that's for sure. He knew what that was.
It's time for Tao to go to his new home.
Yeah.
And meets her, of course. The two monkeys have got a long journey ahead of them to the ferry port at Cherbourg in France. Jeremy will have to stop regularly to make sure they're okay.
Just going to push a piece of banana in for Tao just to see if he's interested. It's now nearly 6 p.m, so in the next hour or so, or a couple of hours, it's going to be getting dark, so let's give the guys something to eat.
At the park, final preparations are being made for Mitza and Tao. Tao will eventually be put in with the Capuchin boys, but as they can be a bit boisterous, primate care staff have other plans for him when he first arrives.
Tao will be living down at the female Capuchins temporarily, just so we can judge his health and just make sure he's happy. He'll be able to see the girls, but we won't be putting them in with the girls at the moment, but he'll just be on his own for a few days just so we can judge his behaviour. We've been getting his room ready and we've made sure there's plenty of browse and foliage in there so he can hide away if he's a bit nervous when he arrives. Because he's been previously as a pet in a small sort of cage, we just wanted to put some things in just to encourage his natural behaviours, which is why we've added some insects so he can just start foraging and being a Capuchin again. I'm very excited.
The ferry carrying Jeremy and the park's two new monkeys is about to dock in Portsmouth. It's been a marathon journey, and the centre's quarantine van has arrived to take them on the last leg of their trip. As Mitza will be the park's first Patas monkey, they're having to make space for her. Fortunately, there's room at the Stumpy house, and staff are trying to make it as welcoming as possible.
I'm really excited for both of these individuals actually coming to the park, because they've been living in solitary confinement, and both of them for quite a long time now. So really, you know, it's going to be hard for them to, as adult animals, to make a complete change around and live a social life. But if, you know, anything we've learned over the years is that all of these monkeys really want the companionship of their own kind, and you just have to get them set up in a circumstance where all of their natural behavior is able to come out.
Mitza and Tao have finally arrived in Dorset, and the team are keen to get them out of their travel crates as soon as possible.
Yeah. You happy? If you go up now. You go up. There you go. There you go.
Tao is first to get a glimpse of his new home.
He looks like an old man. He's only 6 years old. He should be in the prime of his life, a young adult male. And he's just so skinny. He's got a good thick coat, but yet you can still see all of the bones showing through. Do you get an idea of how much they fed him?
He had a lot of seeds. He had a lot of sunflower seeds and the like.
You guys are going to need to be careful in terms of how much you feed him, but he needs feeding up and building up a lot. You can try yogurt and stuff, get some good probiotics into him, everything and anything, but just be cautious that his stomach might not be used to any of it. He hasn't had D3 that he needs, so we'll get some vitamin D3 into him and start building him up. And I don't know that we're even going to be happy to give him a health check until a couple of weeks' time when he's put on a bit of weight and is a little more stable.
While Tao is settling in, Alison and the team take Mitza to her new bedroom.
still facing the wrong direction.
Mitsa is more reluctant than Tao to leave the relative safety of the travel crate.
Will you just take this off me?
They all back away to give her some space. And it seems to do the trick.
Hello.
We've managed to get Mitsa sort of out of her box. Took a few seconds because she was doing her bouncing up and down thing, which I think is just a reaction to being a bit stressed, a bit freaked out in a new place, not knowing what's happening. And probably the neighbors aren't necessarily going to be helpful with that. But she's a beautiful girl and looks physically quite fit. We just have to hope that mentally she's prepared to meet another Patas monkey a similar age.
Staff try to tempt Mitsa with a few treats.
Never worked with a Patas monkey before, but she's beautiful. Hopefully she'll settle in a bit more over the next, few hours and the next few days. She'll calm down a little bit. We won't crowd her too much, just leave her to settle in slowly, but just keep an eye to make sure that she is finding the food and the water that we put in there for her.
At the Capuchin house, Tao has gone into hiding. The females have spotted him and are eager to make contact. But Tao has never known other Capuchins, so he's finding all the attention a little overwhelming.
A lot of the time he probably just spent on his own, so having all of the interest and companionship now will be a start, and then eventually we can graduate him to meeting other monkeys. But I think he's going to need some TLC for a while.